Hidden inside a flooded warehouse sat one of Ferrari's greatest creations, the legendary Ferrari F40. Built to celebrate Ferrari's 40th anniversary, the F40 became one of the most celebrated supercars ever produced. Twin turbochargers, lightweight construction, pure racing-inspired engineering. But today, none of that mattered. Months after catastrophic flooding, mud covered the floor. Water stains reached halfway up the doors. Salt deposits clung to every surface. The once pristine interior had been devastated. Most people believed the car was beyond saving. Insurance companies called it a total loss. Collectors feared another F40 had been lost forever. But one restoration team saw something different. They saw possibility. Because legends deserve another chance. Recovering the Ferrari would require extreme care. Its lightweight chassis, carbon fiber body panels, and delicate mechanical systems could not simply be towed away. Every movement had to be planned. Special lifting equipment was positioned. Flatbed transport arrived. Engineers documented every damaged component before removal. The wheels refused to turn freely. Mud filled the suspension. The brakes had seized. Slowly, centimeter by centimeter, the Ferrari rolled into daylight. For the first time since the flood, sunlight reflected across its scarred red body. The damage was heartbreaking, yet beneath the dirt, the F40 still retained its unmistakable shape. The restoration team smiled. The project had officially begun. With the Ferrari safely inside the restoration workshop, the most delicate phase began. Unlike many classic cars, the F40 combined lightweight composite body panels with a steel chassis. Every panel had to be inspected individually. Hidden moisture, microscopic cracks, and flood contamination could threaten the integrity of the car. The technicians removed the doors, front clamshell, rear engine cover, and every removable body panel. Each piece was cleaned, scanned, and measured. Fortunately, most of the carbon composite structure remained recoverable. Damaged sections were carefully repaired. Every surface was sanded by hand. Resin was applied with precision, layer by layer. The legendary Ferrari body slowly returned to life. Nothing was rushed. Nothing was replaced unnecessarily. The goal was simple: preserve as much of the original Ferrari as possible. While one team restored the body, another focused underneath. The suspension had suffered extensive flood damage. Wheel bearings, bushings, brake components, fasteners, everything was carefully disassembled. Every reusable part underwent ultrasonic cleaning. Anything beyond specification was replaced with genuine Ferrari components. The steel chassis received detailed inspection. Protective coatings were removed. Hidden corrosion was eliminated. Fresh anti-corrosion treatment protected every vulnerable surface. The braking system was completely rebuilt. Suspension geometry returned to factory specifications. By the end of this stage, the Ferrari no longer resembled a flood victim. It looked like a supercar, preparing for another lifetime on the road. With the chassis complete, attention turned to the soul of the Ferrari, its legendary twin-turbocharged V8 engine. Months underwater had contaminated nearly every system. The engine was completely dismantled. Every bolt, every bearing, every seal was carefully cataloged. The aluminum block underwent ultrasonic cleaning. Cylinder walls were measured to factory tolerances. The crankshaft was polished and balanced. Connecting rods were inspected. New pistons, new bearings, new seals. The twin turbochargers were rebuilt from the inside out. Each compressor wheel, each bearing, each housing was restored with microscopic precision. This was not simply an engine rebuild. It was the rebirth of one of Ferrari's greatest power plants. While the engine team worked, another group focused on the cabin. The flood had damaged nearly every interior surface. Seats were carefully restored. Original materials were preserved wherever possible. The dashboard was completely rebuilt. Electrical wiring was replaced. Every switch, every gauge, every connector was individually tested. The lightweight racing interior slowly returned. Simple, purposeful, unmistakably Ferrari. Outside, the body entered the paint booth. Multiple layers of Rosso Corsa were applied, each coat carefully inspected, then polished to perfection. When the paint emerged beneath the workshop lights, it looked deeper than glass. The Ferrari was almost ready. Only final assembly remained. Months of precision craftsmanship, thousands of carefully restored components, and countless hours of dedication had led to this moment. The rebuilt twin-turbo V8 was carefully lowered into the chassis. Every hose, every connector, every bolt was installed according to Ferrari's original specifications. The restored suspension was torqued one final time. The glass was fitted. The lightweight doors were aligned. Fresh weather seals created a perfect fit. Inside the cabin, the gauges illuminated for the first time. Every electrical system responded perfectly. Finally, the ignition key turned. Silence, a brief pause. Then, the legendary twin-turbo V8 came to life. A deep mechanical rumble filled the workshop. Months of hard work had become reality. The workshop doors slowly opened. For the first time since the flood, the Ferrari rolled into the sunlight. Its Rosso Corsa paint reflected the morning sky. Every body panel, perfectly aligned. Every surface, immaculate. The twin-turbo engine accelerated effortlessly through the gears. The suspension felt tight. The steering remained razor-sharp. Months earlier, this Ferrari had been written off as a total loss. Now, it stood once again among the world's greatest supercars. The restoration wasn't simply about repairing damage. It was about preserving automotive history, saving a machine that represents one of Ferrari's greatest achievements. As the F40 disappeared along a winding mountain road, its twin turbos echoed through the valley, proof that true legends can always be reborn. The end. Hidden inside an old workshop sat one of Britain's most iconic automobiles, a classic Mini. Time had not been kind. Years of moisture, rust, and neglect had left the body shell in desperate condition. The floors had corroded. The sills were weakened. Several body panels had almost disappeared beneath rust. Many people would have called it beyond repair. But experienced restorers saw something different. They saw potential, because every classic Mini deserves another chance. The journey would not be easy. Thousands of hours of skilled craftsmanship lay ahead. Every weld, every panel, every measurement would determine whether this legendary little car could return to the road. Today, the restoration begins. Before any repair could begin, everything had to come apart. The engine was removed, the suspension dismantled, the glass carefully stored. Doors, bonnet, boot lid, and every removable panel were labeled and organized. Hidden cavities were treated with rust inhibitors. The entire body shell received high-quality epoxy primer. Every surface, inside and out, was protected against future corrosion. Hours of careful sanding followed. Imperfections too small to notice by eye were identified under bright inspection lights. They were corrected immediately. No compromise, no shortcuts. By now, the Mini no longer looked like a forgotten project. It looked ready for the next chapter. Paint, assembly, and finally, the road. Months of hard work, thousands of precise measurements, and countless hours of craftsmanship had all led to this moment. Inside the paint booth, the Mini received its final finish, layer by layer. The color transformed bare steel into a beautiful classic once again. After the paint cured, the careful reassembly began. New weather seals, fresh glass, refinished suspension, restored chrome trim. Every bolt, every clip, every badge returned to its original place. The rebuilt engine was carefully lowered into the freshly restored body shell. Electrical systems were tested, lights illuminated. The engine started smoothly. For the first time in years, the classic Mini was alive again. The finished Mini looked extraordinary. Its compact design, simple engineering, and timeless character remained exactly as enthusiasts remembered. But beneath the flawless paint was something even more important. A completely rebuilt foundation, fresh steel, precision welding, modern corrosion protection, and craftsmanship designed to last for decades. This restoration was never about creating something new. It was about preserving history. Every repaired panel, every carefully aligned body gap, every polished detail honored the engineers who originally designed this remarkable little car. As the Mini cruised quietly down a country road, its journey came full circle. From rust to restoration, from forgotten to unforgettable, because great classics are never truly lost, as long as skilled hands and passionate hearts are willing to save them. The end. With the shell completely exposed, the true extent of the damage became visible. Years of corrosion had weakened critical structural sections. Some metal could be repaired. Other areas required complete replacement. Every damaged panel was carefully measured before cutting. Accuracy mattered. Even a few millimeters could affect the entire body alignment. This restoration would not rely on shortcuts, only precision, only craftsmanship. With the damaged metal removed, the real craftsmanship could begin. Every replacement panel had to fit perfectly. There was no room for guesswork. The restoration team began with the floor pans. Fresh steel panels were carefully trimmed, measured repeatedly, then test-fitted before a single weld was made. Next came the inner and outer sills. These structural sections gave the Mini much of its strength. If installed incorrectly, nothing else would align properly. Each measurement was checked against factory specifications, door openings, crossmembers, wheelbase. Everything had to remain perfectly square. Slowly, the Mini began recovering its original shape, one precise weld at a time. With the floor restored, attention shifted to the remaining structure. Wheel arches, door pillars, front bulkhead, rear valance. Each section required patience. Some panels could be repaired. Others had to be completely fabricated from fresh steel. The craftsman shaped every curve using traditional metalworking techniques. Hammers, dollies, English wheels, shrinkers, stretchers. Every tool had its purpose. Hours became days. Days became weeks. Slowly, the Mini's skeleton returned. Every weld was ground smooth. Every seam checked twice. The body was becoming stronger than it had been in decades. The transformation was finally taking shape. With the structural metalwork complete, the restoration entered one of its most demanding stages. Panel alignment. Every gap, every edge, every body line had to match factory specifications. The doors were installed first, then removed, adjusted, and installed again. The bonnet followed, then the boot lid. Each adjustment measured only a few millimeters, yet those tiny corrections made all the difference. The front wings were carefully test-fitted. Body gaps were checked using precision gauges. Nothing was rushed. Experienced restorers understood. Perfect paint could never hide poor alignment. Only careful craftsmanship could create a truly exceptional Mini. Slowly, the little British icon began looking like a complete automobile once again. Beautiful metalwork alone would never guarantee a lasting restoration. Protection was equally important. Every welded seam received careful attention. Modern seam sealer was applied to vulnerable joints.